Well, hi you beautiful New Zealanders, we're in for another great video. Today I'm talking about how racism and apartheid are well and truly alive in our health system. So what's in the box today? In this video I explain that apartheid and racism are well and truly alive in our health system. I explain the difference between equity and equality. They're very different and we need to know very clearly the difference between the two. And I explain how Luxon and Peters are failing us. So watch this. Okay, just before we dive into today's video, I want to talk about subscribing, because a lot of people are watching these videos. We get tons of feedback, emails and texts and everything, phone calls from people saying they get a heck of a lot out of these videos. They're learning so much and they so appreciate them. But you know what? They forget to subscribe. Can you believe it? They do. So make sure you subscribe. How do you do that? Well, you see down the bottom of your screen, on the bottom right hand side, there is a little icon. It says YouTube down the bottom. If you float your mouse over that, you'll see a little subscribe button. You click on it, a little subscribe button pops up. Move your mouse across and click subscribe and you are subscribed. So you can really help us by getting people to subscribe, and you'll miss no videos that we put out. Every single video we put out, you'll get posted it. You won't miss it, and you'll get the latest information. So please do this. It's so important. All right, let's crack into the next video. First of all, please note, it's not Maori who are the victims of racism and apartheid, despite what the activists tell you. It's us, non-Maori and non-Pacifica, all of us. We're the people who are the victims now of racism and apartheid. It's amazing that in the 1970s and 80s, New Zealand used to lead the charge against racism and apartheid, and now we're the people who are promoting it. Incredible. The following is a photo of a memo put out by the Waikato Health Authority. So please pause the video and take a moment just to read this very carefully. Okay, I want you to notice two things after you've read that. First, it's come from what they call the Equity Office. That's telling. Why? Well, because equity is very different from equality. What's the difference? Equity is about everyone getting the same outcomes as everyone else. Basically, it's communism. So let me explain how this works. It's very interesting. It means that Maori want the same outcomes as everyone else in New Zealand in terms of health, assets, income, houses, cars, bank balances, and so on. They resent not having the same as everyone else. Well, what's an example of equity? Consider equity with respect to wealth. Person A is lazy and bone idle, watches TV most of the day and sleeps a lot. He lives in a dump of a house, or she, with the guttering falling off, the roof rusting and the paint peeling. There's an old car bodies and junk all over the property, and skinny dogs roam about. That's person A. Person B works hard, invests, saves, sacrifices, is disciplined, is persevering, and possesses all the qualities of a man or a woman with character possesses. All his property is well, or her property is well maintained, is neat and tidy and well organized. Tidy mind, tidy property. And there's sort of an example there. According to equity, the two different outcomes between person A and person B are wrong. This is what they say. They are examples of injustice when people have different outcomes. Person A must have the same outcome as person B, say the activists. This injustice has been caused, they say, by racism and colonialism. The government must step in and reward person A. This is an attempt to rectify the different outcomes. Person A must be compensated for the effects of colonialism and racism. You see, this is crazy stuff. Yeah? And so what do? We give them a Z gift card in the Waikato Hospital and all the other hospitals all around New Zealand. This is what's going on, and special parking privileges, all because of equity. What about the equity in health? Well, person A drinks fizzy drinks, eats KFC and takeaways a lot, smokes and drinks alcohol to excess and never exercises. He or she develops diabetes early in life, is obese and is hospitalized often. He or she lives to the age of 65. Person B eats a lot of fresh fruit and veggies, drinks fruit juices and water, has a balanced and well-regulated diet. They exercise regularly. He or she has few health conditions and really needs hospital care. They're not a drain on the tax system. He or she lives to the age of 90. Isn't that fantastic? Well, what are we to make of this? According to equity, the different health outcomes between person A and person B are wrong. This is what the Maori activists say. They're saying that these differences between person A and B are caused by racism and colonialism. Yeah? The government must step in and reward person A, say the Maori activists. Why? This is an attempt to rectify the different outcomes, just like before. Person A must be compensated. This is done to create equal outcomes, they say. This corrects supposed injustice. In short, equity means no matter how much you put yourself into your life, how great or small, how much you put into your life, all of us must have the same outcomes. Isn't this absolutely ridiculous? Because it cuts out competition, it cuts out people trying hard to get ahead, and so on and so on. It is totally nutcase and crazy. That's equity. Calling for equity is a way of promoting apartheid and racism without actually calling it racism and apartheid. You get this? Calls for equity are actually disguising racism and apartheid. Blaming different outcomes on racism and colonialism is a way of justifying racism and apartheid. See the twist? Everything's twisted and contorted. It's a way of milking the system of money, giving two cultural groups advantage and favor for no other reason than the color of their skin. Essentially, it's the theft of public money by stealth, but it gets worse. Calls for equity are promoting a victim mentality in those who receive the benefits. It's actually driving them away from taking personal responsibility for their lives. As such, it's actually cruel. Yet that's what they're doing, okay? So, it's saying to those who receive the petrol vouchers and special parking rights, you are where you are in a bad place in your life because of what someone else has done to you, see? You'll never be able to get better until racism and colonialism are removed. That's what victims are told. What are we to make of this thinking? Well, as such, it's cruel because it's keeping Maori and Pacifica at the bottom of the barrel, not lifting them out of the barrel. For these reasons, I'm absolutely and completely against calls for equity. Yeah, it's cruel, and it's not the right thing to do. Now, here's a little diagram that the Maori activists put out as the difference between equality and equity, but I want you to study this carefully. On the right is a clever trick diagram used by activists to supposedly show the difference between equality and equity. Now, at first glance, it looks like it's obvious that the poor little boy can't see and we need to help him up. But watch, the success of the message is based on a false premise that if all people don't achieve equal outcomes, inequity is to blame. Inequity, they say, is unjust, but think about it. Is it unjust for a little boy to not be as tall as his father? Is the little boy's height the result of colonialism or racism? See how ridiculous are the arguments of the Maori activists, and yet this is what Kiwis are being sucked in by. Many Kiwis have been sucked in by this. It's absolutely parallel universe crazy thinking, and it's all over New Zealand right now. Now here is the thing. There is no racism in the health system against Maori. It doesn't exist. There is nothing Maori can't access that everyone else can access in the health system. Absolutely nothing. Not one thing. There are no effects of colonialism which have negatively affected Maori. Ask Maori activists to name just one effect. They can't, because there is none. They can't. Why? The whole foundation of their calls for equity are based on fantasy. They are based on lies and false assumptions, and that is the truth. You know what? Some Maori cite Maori in rural areas as an example of racism in the health system. Well, how should we answer this? Well, non-Maori have the same issue. Maori say, well, there's Maori in remote places who can't access health care, and therefore the system is racist. But like I say, there's lots of non-Maori who are in those same remote areas. They don't cry racism. They just know that if they live in a rural area, a remote rural area, there's going to be some downsides, and that's one of them. You are going to struggle with access to healthcare. It's not racist, it's just a geographical location issue. It's an issue common to all people who live in remote rural areas. Therefore, the issue of Maori who live in remote rural areas and who find it difficult to access healthcare is not a racist against Maori issue. It's simply an issue of Maori choosing to live in a remote area and therefore having to cope with the downside of that. The solution? Move to a better location. Or stop whinging, stop complaining. What are some of the other implications of what I call the curse of the call for equity? Well, American philosopher Thomas Sowell said equity is the thief of human potential, unquote. What did he mean? He means people with great talent and ability come to believe that their station in life is someone else's fault, it's fixed, and so there is no point in trying to improve oneself. So people shut down their talents and their abilities and they don't use them. That's a curse. That is a thief. What are some of the other implications of this equity curse? Non-Maori are robbed of opportunity. How so? Well, here's an example. 30% of medical students accepted into medical school must be Maori or Pacific Islanders. This means other non-Maori students with better grades can't get in. They are denied entry. Well, how is that fair? How is that right? How is that proper? That's wrong. Other implications, many Maori businesses pay only 17% tax. The rest of us pay 30% or more. So we end up carrying Maori. How is that fair? How is that right? How is that democratic? How is that the right thing to do? It's not. What's another example? When young people enter university or trades training, Maori receive scholarships or fee exemption often. Non-Maori do not. Well, so this breeds resentment in the hearts of non-Maori students towards Maori. Why? They see Maori advantage as being very unfair. See, it's creating racial division. And it's we, the taxpayer, who are funding Maori privilege. How is that right? Well, it's not. And it's all done under the guise of equity, which makes it sound virtuous when really it's just simply apartheid and racism with a mask on. That is all it is. So if that's equity, what's equality? Well, equality has to do with equal opportunities. It's about a level playing field. It's saying that everyone deserves to be treated equally so that they have the same opportunities to succeed in life. For these reasons, I am absolutely, completely for calls for equality. We want the same level playing field for every citizen in New Zealand. We do not want any inequality. That's the whole point. So we're very much for, as a movement, for equal opportunity for all people in this country where everybody is treated the same. That's fair, that's democratic, that's right, that's proper, that's the way to go. My question is this: where is National and Luxon in all this? Where is New Zealand First and Winston Peters? Weren't they all gung-ho before the election, promising to purge the country of all race-based policies and initiatives? Here is what they signed up to in the coalition agreement. This is the actual clause from their coalition agreement. The coalition government will work to improve outcomes for all New Zealanders and will not advance policies that seek to ascribe different rights and responsibilities to New Zealanders on the basis of their race and ancestry. Well, hello, what have we just seen with this memo from the Waikato Hospital? It's reeking with different rights. It's reeking with racism and apartheid. Where the heck is National and Luxon? Where's Winston Peters? Why isn't he not pulling them up about this? Nobody is. They're just sailing on as though nothing's happened. This is just Labour carrying on. National clearly has betrayed voters and shattered their coalition agreement. For example, in the last budget, they gave $800 million to Maori. No other culture received this funding. This is racism and apartheid, plain and simple. This is shattering the coalition agreement. We know that Luxon has a deep-seated personal desire to progress co-governance and Maorification. We know that. He did not campaign on this. Yeah, voters were duped. There's the media press release about the amount of money that Maori got in the last budget. There you go, it's pretty clear. What about New Zealand First and Winston? Clearly, Winston thinks that fiery, entertaining speeches in Parliament are a substitute for delivering on election promises and affecting real change. He's morphed into Winston the entertainer rather than Winston the policy deliverer. He came in with very strong policies, and what's happened? Nothing. Once in, Winston has clearly shown that he's not really interested in working hard for the people of New Zealand. He prefers speeches which give him profile in the spotlight. He'd rather have the fun inside the chamber than actually do the work outside the chamber. Much easier, much less effort required. You know what? It's pretty tragic. What an opportunity missed for a Maori politician with all that experience, just to be fiddling around and wasting time in Parliament and not getting on with the real business. Pretty tragic. Okay, finally, you can bet these racist, apartheid-riddled hospital memos are being issued like lollies in every hospital in the country. Why would you presume that? Well, because they were told to keep it quiet so nobody knows about it. Guarantee it's going on. The authority to do this will have come from the very top. You can guarantee that. It's obvious, too, that National Health Minister Shane Reddy has lost control. Why? Because it was clearly in the coalition agreement that this sort of thing should not be going on, and it's just going on, and they're not doing anything about it. In the description of this video, there is an excellent article written by Dr. LAURIE Knight explaining from science how the health system is not racist towards Maori. He shows how Maori are just making it up when they say the health system is racist. It's just more BS. In fact, he points out that Asian people live, I think it's 5 or 6 or 10 years longer than Europeans. Well, that's because of they're eating seaweed and fish and all sorts of things. They're very good with their bodies and their diet. It's nothing to do with racism. It's just environmental factors. It's just how they live their lives. And so Europeans don't cry racist. I also put in the description a piece I wrote called The Solution for Maori. It's a more extended commentary on the difference between equity and equality. All Kiwis should read this, especially Maori. There's only one thing that I don't agree with. I don't agree with LAURIE that Maori and Pacifica students should have special entry to med school. That's the only beef I have with LAURIE's article. Otherwise, it's absolutely brilliant. All right, thanks. Okay guys, that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, taking the time to really get up to speed with what's going on in New Zealand and how we can counter the activists and the Maori takeover and co-governance and all the rest of the stuff that's coming down the tube. Don't forget to keep getting our business cards out. Here they are. They're making a really big difference. Our YouTube channel has grown 300% this year. So to get the cards, you can go to cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Don't forget also, please get some of these booklets, The Psychology of Takeover. They're 80 pages long and they're only $3. If you want to truly understand what's going on in New Zealand, this booklet is the key, which will help you get it, if you know what I mean. You can order this booklet by emailing the same email address. There it is there. Please also remember our original Stop Co-Governance booklet that we printed 550,000 of these booklets, what it is, why it's wrong, and why it must be stopped. We have a few original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour in 2023, not 100,000, but a few thousand. You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these. Like I said, they're now free. All you need to do is to pay for the courier to get them to you. You can order this book by emailing the same email address. You know what? 550,000 of these only reached about 1/3 of New Zealand's households, so there's a lot of people who have not even seen this booklet. You can get it from cards at stopcogovernance.kiwi. We want to save our beaches. We have a Maka, Marine and Coastal Act brochure too, which alerts people to the loss of our beaches. The text is written by Graham Adams, who's a great author. These are now free too. All you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. You can order this brochure by emailing this same email address, cards at stopcogovernance.kiwi. And finally, our bumper stickers. You know what? We produce these because New Zealand's identity is under threat. First, the activists have and are still trying to change the name of New Zealand to Aotearoa. We must oppose this. Second, Maori sovereignty flags are appearing more and more like they own the country. So we printed some awesome bumper stickers. There they are. They measure about 21 centimeters by 6 centimeters. They're $3 plus courier and packaging. You can order these bumper stickers by the same email address, cards at stopcogovernance.kiwi. As usual, please like, comment, subscribe and share this video with your friends, with everybody everywhere. You know what? To change New Zealand, to turn it around, what we have to do is actually educate the public. We've got competition with the media because the media is trying to propagandize or brainwash the public all the time. But if we can go through social media, if we can become a network through the whole country, we can actually go right around the social media and the mainstream media and beat these people. So let's work hard, let's work as a team, and we're going to get there. I know it for sure. All right, see you next time. You guys are awesome.